Fresno, California. The eighth wonder of the world. One of the most spectacular places on this earth. With views like this, and this, it is an up-and-coming hidden gem. Nah, I'm just kidding. This is Fresno. Located in the Central Valley of California, Fresno is known for being sort of a mix between suburban sprawl and also hell. However, there's a hidden oasis amongst the chaos. The Fresno Chaffee Zoo. This past June, I met up with a friend at the Fresno Zoo since it was about a halfway point between us at the time. I'd heard great things about the zoo, but what you'll see here is an amazing, well-planned zoo that I enjoyed absolutely every minute of. You guys ready to head into the zoo? Don't mind that I didn't have entrance footage from the outside. There were people, so hopefully the Google Maps was okay. But the first exhibit we're going to get into is the Red Wolf. This is right at the entrance, and they were super active and seemed to be pretty curious.
If not friend, why friend-shaped? If I had to put my money on it, I'd put it on Western Fence Lizard.
So one thing you'll probably notice during this tour is little interjections of comments my friend and I made. And a lot of them do involve animals that they weren't in exhibits or anything. We just saw like common native wildlife, and that was super interesting. But the first kind of major exhibit we went into was the reptile house.
I think he really likes the light.
And they had a lot of really cool species, several monitors. I don't know them all off the top of my head, unfortunately. So you're just gonna see some miscellaneous footage of reptiles that we thought were cool. I'm kind of more of a bird person. Those are my favorite. So if you see any you recognize, give them a shout in the comments. You can let me know what they are. I think they have their species list online. But I think this is the black tree monitor, if I'm not mistaken. They have several monitor species. So pardon me if I don't get them correct.
He's kind of tweaking. Reptile houses are usually like one of my highlights of any zoo, because they have the strangest monsters in here.
Of course, you can't forget the big paludarium. I do know the rainbow fish in there. This snake had a really big habitat. I thought that was pretty cool. There might have been something else in here, just didn't see it. And this is kind of what the outside of the reptile house looked like. And then you got a dove. You know, this is where we get into the serious part. They had, I think, 3 or 4 aviaries here, all of which were really cool. I enjoyed every single one, and the friend I was with is also a bird enjoyer, so I think we spent some of the most time in the aviaries. And next to that was going to be Sea Lion Cove, where they had California sea lions. There was an above ground viewing. It was a beautiful sunny day, at least in the morning. All the animals seemed to be super active. You can see the underwater viewing here. That was pretty awesome. Always love watching them. And then you have one of my favorite animals. This is a giant anteater. Can't go wrong with an anteater. I mean, the exhibit, it was fine. And of course I'm zooming in on some sparrow and a bullfrog, you know, not the actual animals in the exhibit. But it was nothing special. This has definitely seemed like more of one of those afterthought exhibits, but the animals are super cool, and I mean, they seem pretty chill, so you can't be mad at it. They were super cute, so I got a lot of footage of them. Like, a lot of footage, apparently, because they're my favorite. This was some sort of ape. I didn't really care about them. I like the anteaters. And, of course, Backstage, you know, the secret, I don't know, give you some Planet Zoo inspiration. This one was interesting. It was an outdoor viewing for a fennec fox, which you don't see too often, because they're usually in, like, an indoor nocturnal house situation, but this guy was straight vibing. And you got the beautiful colobus monkey. I think they had like 4 in here. They had indoor too. You just couldn't really see into it. But they were pretty awesome. I think I could be friends with the colobus monkey. And then you'll just see a general overview. We're going to start heading towards the big savanna section of the zoo. That would be the biggest section. They had tons of species, but I don't know if we saw them all. And of course, the map.
Let's look at the map.
because we got very lost throughout this whole thing. It took all of our brain cells to navigate the zoo. It's not like it was a complicated layout, it was just new territory, and you did have to backtrack a little bit, which is about the only thing I didn't like about the zoo, was there was a considerable amount of backtracking. And of course another non-exhibit animal.
Oh, I thought that was real. That freaked me out. I was like, uh-oh, how did he escape? But no, it's just absolutely snacking. You go, queen.
Oh, who's this diva? So you can see the main savannah exhibit there was huge. In the savannah section, they had eland, kudu, slenderhorn gazelle, reticulated and Maasai giraffe, elephant. I think they're supposed to have rhino. I don't think we saw any. Did I say kudu? Oh, and impala. They did have impala. The whole exhibit was kind of like when you play Zoo Tycoon 2 and you just throw everything into one big habitat, but in a good way.
The slenderhorn gazelles are actually really scrumbly and I love it.
And of course, like any good zoo, you got your giraffe feeding station, and they were just waiting there for their lettuce or whatever. I think some of them probably did that all day. And then you got a California scrub jay. I mean, just look at how massive that savannah is. It was very impressive. And they had a little cafe that you could go to as well, including a bird's nest that had fallen and kind of splattered everywhere. And some African cichlids, I think that was in the cafe. Here was going to be the African lion exhibit, obviously not mixed with the savannah, but it kind of looked like it was because you could see the savannah from behind. Your warthogs, I wish I got more footage of it. It was nothing special, but we love a good pig-adjacent animal. And the African elephants, finally. I think they were kind of towards the end was their viewing. And look at the lemurs!
That was Switzerland.
I think they were supposed to have ring-tailed as well. I didn't see them, but it does say they're on the website. And then we went to a bird show. That was pretty cool.
Rats with wings.
Not those birds, those are just wild pigeons, but every so often they just hosted some sort of bird show.
She has this lovely crown of feathers on her head, and she is a species of crane. Now this crown of feathers...
It was a super informative show. They had multiple different species of birds out, and the presenters were really knowledgeable, so I really appreciated that. I loved feeding this cockatoo $1.
Good.
Aww, good. Oh my goodness, I got one for you too. Ready? Oh my gosh.
Oh, no,
You didn't want that one.
I was like, whoa, let's try like that one.
Alright, bud. You got it. Yeah.
On the subject of birds, when we went to the flamingo exhibit, these are American flamingos. They had a baby one and it was adorable. They also had several flamingos just sitting on the nests, but this guy was super cute.
He's so scrungly.
So we stayed and kind of hung out with the flamingos for a little bit, again, because that baby was just adorable. Before we went into the Kingdoms of Asia theming, we did go through their Australian section, and this kookaburra was absolutely slapping the shit out of the mouse. It was already dead. He just did that because he's funny like that. He had to double check. But they did have your classic walkthrough with several different species of Australian marsupials. So they had the red kangaroo, several males there, it looks like. There was a couple other ones. There was a Tamar wallaby, which you can see now, which I think that was the first time I had ever seen one. And then they did have an emu who wanted to chill right near the exit gate. I genuinely think he was waiting to bite someone's finger off. But I like this guy. He seemed chill. The plug a little weird, but he chill. This is their reptile conservation area. It looked like they have some sort of breeding program going on. I think there might have been, this is a leopard lizard? Unfortunately, I don't know my lizards. I don't know a lot of things, but this guy was pretty cool. There's a king vulture there. Those are weird looking, but I enjoyed it. I just enjoyed everything. I'm easily impressed, but this zoo was actually impressive. They had tons of aviaries, so my friend and I were absolutely thriving here. And you love a good peccary, another pig-adjacent animal. They're just mad chill. That's really all I can say. I believe this was their, or used to be their barnyard exhibit, if I'm not mistaken. We did not see it because it was under construction. However, they had an impromptu, like, construction equipment exhibit, which I thought was pretty funny. And here we are in the biggest aviary. So you can see the Inca tern there. Really, really cool bird. And what was really cool during this walk through the aviary, it was actually thundering a little bit. It started as a super sunny morning, and then towards the end of the day, it was literally thundering out and raining a little bit. So it kind of felt like you were in the jungle. They also had sun terns, which are one of my favorite birds of all time, which you'll see a couple of them, which was pretty awesome, but it was super humid, and that was the only thing I didn't like. But we have several species of ducks. I think that one was some sort of teal, and then they had a couple of teals. They had a ringed teal. You can see the like black stripe on the neck. But there were birds everywhere. Like, we probably missed some. I think we looked around for all the different species and didn't see a couple of them, either because they weren't out or we just missed them. Blackneck stilt, love a blackneck stilt, see them in the wild all the time. Oh, this guy was really cool. That's the mott. So again, just a really pretty bird. I always spend so much time in the bird exhibits. I think like 90% of this footage is birds.
Oh, there he goes. He's out.
Look at him go.
That's such a pretty song too.
I'm sorry if you're a mammal fan. Like, I love mammals, but birds are just the most fun thing in the world to me, in my opinion. And now we're getting into the Kingdoms of Asia. This is another one of their big exhibits. Really well themed, and the exhibits were also really well done. I thoroughly enjoyed this area a lot, and this is where some of the bigger aviaries were. So it was pretty cool to be able to see them all there. And you can see the clouds really picking up. We were definitely getting rained on as we entered into the Kingdoms of Asia exhibit. They had Malayan tiger here, and they had a pretty big exhibit. And the theming was just awesome. I really enjoyed it. I think I said to my friend, this is what Bronx wishes it could be when it comes to their Asia exhibits. And it was just super lush. I mean, not to flex or anything, but California kind of has the perfect climate. And of course I'm trying to film the little, like, rasboras that are in there instead of the actual animal in the exhibit. Because why would I do that?
Ants.
Oh yeah, ants.
Ants.
Let's go.
Yeah.
You got a long snout.
One of my favorite exhibits in the entire zoo was the bear and the otter. And it was super neat because I hadn't really seen a mixed species exhibit like that before.
You know, not really. I mean, they'll interact with each other. Certainly, they like know each other are there, and they'll interact. But they share such different like diets. So the bears mainly eat termites, ants, and fruit. Actually, that's all they eat. And then the otters are carnivores, so they'll eat.
Yeah, he just went up and kind of bugged him. Oh, and you can see, for some reason, I decided to film like a bathroom tour. I don't know what prompted me to do that, so enjoy that little intermission there. But the sloth bears and the otters seem to just be pretty chill with each other. That was pretty awesome. Again, I'd love to see more mixed species exhibits like that from other zoos. This was definitely a first for me, but I haven't been to many zoos.
It's warm o'clock.
Yeah, I did sneak some gummy worms into the zoo. I mean, you definitely were allowed to bring food, but it sounds more fun if I say I, like, smuggled it or something. And now for my favorite pig-adjacent animal, the babirusa. Normally at zoos, they're not super active, but these guys were. They were swimming around. I think it was a hot and humid day. Maybe it felt natural to them because, you know, it can be pretty dry in the Central Valley of California. But I, again, got a lot of footage. You can tell which animals and exhibits I really enjoyed based on the amount of footage I recorded on them. I was absolutely just thrilled about these babirussas. These girls were living it up. I'm sorry to the ape fans out there, I did not get a lot of footage of the apes they had on display. The orangutan exhibit was pretty cool. The, like, fake trees in there were awesome. It seemed like they had a lot of enrichment. I'm not the biggest fan of apes, so I didn't record them a lot, so I'm sorry. I hope you enjoyed the babirusa, because that's what I enjoyed. But this is actually kind of the end of the zoo. This seems like it was a short video, but we were here for several hours. I just wanted to condense it into the highlights. So I hope you guys enjoyed the little tour. My friend and I had a blast. I would absolutely go back to this zoo to see what they've changed and just to enjoy it again. I was really impressed throughout the whole zoo, and I hope you all were as well. If you're in the area of Fresno ever, highly encourage going to this zoo. It was pretty awesome. And a huge shout out to my friend Dill for going with me and helping me record some of the footage. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll be dropping a Planet Zoo video soon. I know this was a little bit different from my usual content, but I think it was fun. So I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.